What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about Star Wars Battlefront really quickly. It has been an insane week. I actually was participating last night in that Resurgence Day as the servers were actually crashed, at least on PlayStation. I don't know if they made it crash on any other system, but the game is back. The game is bigger than ever. This game, I've classically said, you can even go back because I think I covered this game when it first came out. I always thought this game was good, okay, Battlefront 2. It definitely had its issues. It definitely had the loot box and a lot of things that you wanted to like exterminate from the gaming industry right away, but this is a game with always solid, actually more than solid gameplay, and all you had to do was build on it, right? And they did. And it's obviously been abandoned now for 5 years, and here we are, right? The game is breaking records. The game, on Steam at least, you could see that it's almost doubled at this point. It's all-time high. Now, Steam is just one place. There's plenty of Star Wars like leaning influencers and creators, and they all have their sources, right, that are saying that hundreds of thousands of people are playing this game a day, and millions of people are playing it, this past week. So the game is back, and the question really is, because I've really actually talked about that on a video on Podcast Now Plus. I played the game last night. Again, it still freaking rocks. But the question is, like, what does this actually do? Okay, does this actually get us any closer to a Battlefront 3? And I do think one of the cooler elements of this past week has been the people that worked on the game, right? Because, look, it's great that the game is great. It's great that the game is doing great, but ultimately, and we can still enjoy it. Like, I hope people can enjoy this game for a long time. I swear to God, if EA ever shuts down those servers, they'll have quite a riot on their hands, right? But, does this get us any closer to the third game? Well, at least we've had people, including, I believe, as high as the creative director of Star Wars Battlefront 2, jumping in and saying, hey, I'd be down if they ever did another one to come back. And I believe we've gotten like 4 to 6 different developers, kind of ranging from all different, whether I think it was like a system designer or this and that, but people kind of crawling out of the woodworks. And look, these are people that have left. Like there's, and I think it's been reported, like there's not too many people, because they stopped working on this game 5 years ago, right? They stopped, they moved over, they did 2042, and now here we are, obviously doing Battlefield 6, or whatever eventually I guess they're going to call it. And, naturally, and I've talked about this before in a lot of other videos, developers leave. A lot of those studios that you think of for the studio name, that's really all you're thinking of them for, right? Because a lot of the people that made some of these hit games 10, 15, 20 years ago, the percentage of them that are still at these studios are incredibly low. And even 5 years is a lot. 5 years is an incredible amount of time for these people to scatter. And that's really what's happened, right? As we've kind of found out, if we weren't paying attention, is that a lot of these people have left. They're not even there anymore. Some have started their own companies, and they're willing to, I guess, leave them. There's people that own their own gaming studios that have said that they would come back to work on a Battlefront 3. So I don't really know what they would do with their own studio, but that's the stuff that excites me. That's the stuff that makes me think, all right, we have a freaking chance, right? There was one developer, obviously, it blew up around midweek. This is before the game even took that next step and really, broke all these records. There was that developer that said, okay, here's the game plan, right? You get people back together. This individual said he already knew of other people that wanted to get back together. There's willingness to come back, and what we would do is we would remaster Battlefront 2 for the 10-year anniversary, right? 2.5 years away, a little less, I guess, but 2 years away. And you would do the remaster. You would implement all this community feedback, all this stuff that they wanted to do as well. So really, remaster, but really almost like a director's cut, right? Like the best of. And then with that, you would spin that off and you would create Battlefront 3 with all of that stuff, right? That way, Battlefront 3 would be done quicker and more effectively, and you'd get all the community feedback, and there would be that passion and the the drive from the community, right? And that is one thing I do think people that are really pushing Battlefront 3, okay? Again, you love to see it, and I love to see it, and I want to keep pushing. I want other people to keep pushing. One thing you got to be very careful on, though, okay, that I would warn. You don't have to follow my warning, but I would warn. Games obviously do take a long time to come out, and while it's a big deal right now, this game was always played, right? But it did drop, just statistically and factually, there were not always this many people playing it in the last 5 years, okay? It's had its moments, it absolutely has, but not like this. So if you were to remaster this game 2 years from now, I find it very hard to believe that you'll be able to keep this hype up for 2 more years. And then when the remaster comes out, you would definitely get people to come back, and maybe they come back for a year or two. you'd have to release Battlefront 3 so quick. So I guess what I'm trying to say, devil's advocate, Debbie Downer, whatever you want to call me, the issue that I see is, although it's so big, and I think this is a reminder. It's a reminder that this game is good. It's a reminder that there always was a fandom, and it's a reminder of what they had. They had an incredibly great, I wouldn't say the first game was like a great foundation. It was a very, I don't know, it was light. It was a very, very light game, but it did have some things, right? They built upon it, and by the end of the run in Battlefront 2, they had it. And there's one more step, right? There's still some characters, there's still some ideas, there's still some overall concepts that you got to bring it home in a Battlefront 3. So all that stuff is true, right? The issue is, okay, but people generally have very short attention spans, and yeah, it's great that everybody's kind of come back now 5 years later, but you'd have to wait a couple more to get a remaster, and then a couple more after that to get a Battlefront 3. I guess what I'm trying to say is the issue is, with all of this hype and all of this push, right, everybody wants, just announce it. Just say, hey, we hear you. We hear you that obviously we see what you guys are doing with Battlefront 2. We're going to get to work on 3. It would take 3, 4, 5 years minimum. Some of these games can take 5, 6, 7 years. So let's go the shortest. Let's go 3 or 4. That's still long, and it's still, you have to hold people's attention, I guess, in Battlefront 2 until that happens. And that's the part that I find, I don't know if you can actually do it. So I'm hoping, I think there is a game plan. I don't love the idea of, what's funny is Battlefront 1 turns 10 this year. And it's funny that, the idea is to remaster the second game, but not the first game, which hey, you know what? The second game is factually, or in my, I guess, maybe not factually, in my opinion, is a game that's 10 times better than the first game. So I think it makes sense, but it's just kind of ironic that you're leaving that game to die, I guess, the first game. But honestly, that is an okay plan. It wouldn't be a remaster as much as, like I said, I think almost a director's cut, right? Really implementing the final ideas for a Battlefront 2, maybe a couple extra characters, couple extra maps, and you're just back. The main message being you are back, and you're ready to then do a third game. I think it's possible. And again, I know I've kind of jumped over, all over the place in terms of topics here, but one of the best things that this week hopefully has gotten through their heads is, again, what they had and what they still technically have. And I guess that's something to even remind myself of, I talk about, hey, even if you can't hold this the next 2 years, which you won't. Let's just be real. You're not going to hold these numbers for every single day for 2 more years, okay? But as long as it's a reminder to those that matter, meaning executives, meaning the people that greenlight these things, right? As long as you made an impact this week on those people, that's all that matters. And all we were trying to do, I think, at least what I was trying to see what other people were trying to do this week, is remind them that we're kind of always here, right? We might not play it every day, and we might, leave and come back, but we're there. And we would support a good, it's got to be good. By the way, you can't just have a terrible game. It's got to be a good Battlefront 3. But we're waiting. And when it happens, if it happens, we'll be there to support. That's what this week, and I think that's what those player numbers and the records and all that stuff, that's what that's shown. You know what I mean? That we're still here and we're willing. And that's the message that has to get to the right people. If it doesn't, and I'll say this actually to be the most, pessimistic, if it didn't hit somebody's memory or, make an impact this week, I don't think it ever will. Because when else are you going to do this, right? If they shut down the servers and people come back like this again, it'll be a fantastic farewell. It'll feel very special, but they would be shutting down the servers. Do they really care? So this is random. Andor and the 20th anniversary of Episode 3 and other things, yeah, maybe not so random, but definitely more random than, okay, the game shuts down tomorrow. Let's make the day before the biggest numbers the game has ever seen. They were already planning on shutting it down in that hypothetical, right? This is something that's very organic, where it's people just did it. People just came back. This should show them that, hey, we mean business. So that's my thoughts on it. I hope for Battlefront 3. I pray for Battlefront 3. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.